Welcome everybody. I'm Irene Pasternack, teaching Feldenkrais with Northwest Parkinson's Foundation. And today the request was for a class on shoulders. So let's start with a few measurement moves just to see what it's like. Go ahead and put your arms straight out in front of you. And see what's it like to straighten your elbow. Let's do one arm at a time, just one arm. And reach a little forward with the arm. See what it's like to reach forward. Pull it back. Okay. And then with that same arm, take it up toward the ceiling. Okay. And come back. Reach as if you wanted to scratch your neck. Notice how far down your hand goes if you wanted to reach down your back to scratch. Okay. Let's try those same things with the other hand. Just straight out in front of you. Is it easy to straighten your elbow, hard to straighten your elbow? Reach as if you want to tickle something. And then go up. And then see what this hand's like to reach behind you. Just notice how far it comfortably goes. Okay. And if you have handy a coat or a jacket, which most of us don't at this season, but if there's one nearby, you might get it or just imagine putting your arm back to put it into a coat. And see if you're saying, I like it that it's summer and I don't have to do this very often. Yeah, okay. So those will be our measurement moves. And let's go back to, it looked like the move of trying to reach behind your back was the most challenging for many of you. If you wanted to reach further down your back, what pinches? Where does it grab? You could put your hand on the spot where it grabs. Okay. Good. Okay. And then try it with the other hand. See if it grabs in the same place on this side. And it's really interesting looking at everybody's head position. It's like we've got 15 people in 15 different head positions. This will be interesting as we get going. All right, and stop. Thank you. So come to the front of your chair. And we're going to start with the same movement we were playing with on Tuesday. So put your hands straight out in front of you. One hand, you cross at the wrists, and then turn them upside down and interlace your fingers. And notice what's happening with your elbows. It's easy to bend the elbows. What's it like to straighten your elbows in that position? Okay, and try and keep them for the next bit as straight as they comfortably go. Don't force anything. All right, so now take those arms down to your right leg, to your right knee. Just rest your hands on your right knee and begin to slide your hands in that position down your right knee, down toward your right calf. And you'll feel you have to fold at your hip joints and then unfold. There's something about what your sit bones are doing that you can grab the chair with your sit bones to pull yourself back up. And every time you go down in a little different path. So it's like you were putting sunscreen on your calf, but your hands are in this weird position. And you'll see they go down further on some sides than on other sides. Only go down so far that you're comfortable coming back up. Have you tried the back of your calf, the front of your shin? Remember, we're not about pushing ourselves into something hard, but more exploring. What do you feel in your torso as you do these motions? What's happening in your ribs? Which ones compress? Which ones expand? Do you time this movement with your breath? Is it easier to inhale or exhale as you go down the leg? Okay. Rest for a moment. And then put your hands back out the same way and go ahead and cross your wrists again. And notice which wrist you put on top. And then switch them. And flip them over and interlace. And then the same with your right calf, your right shin. Begin to explore in this position with your elbows as close as you can, close to straight as they comfortably go. Go down the leg. Feeling, when do you shift your weight? Like if you go down the inside of your leg, is your weight on your bottom in the same place as when you go down the outside of your leg? Does your head go down with your arms, or do you leave your head up, looking at other people saying maybe they have something, I don't know. Just explore a little. Okay. And then rest. You stay up at the front of your chair. And now lift your right arm up and see if it goes up any easier than it did before. You could compare it to your left arm, of which one feels a little bit more limber in the movement. What we just did was immobilize your shoulder blade by this funny position, which helps your body find some mobility underneath it so that it can move. Get up and go for a little walk. First, just stand there for a moment and notice if one arm feels longer than the other. And go for a walk and see if one arm swings more than the other. And if you were going to stop and stand on one foot for some crazy reason, which foot would you stand on? Okay. And come back to your chair. Have a seat. And let's do the same thing with the other leg. So cross your wrists, flip your hands, and then take that and explore what's it like to go down the other side. Do you go down further on this side or less far? Sense when you put your weight on your right sit bone, when you put it on your left. How do you keep yourself from falling forward on your nose? Somehow your body is finding a way to counterbalance yourself. So you might have a sensation of your bottom going backwards a little bit. You might try even lifting that side of your bottom so that it can slide backward on your chair a little. Notice what you're doing with your breathing. And what ribs? Are the ribs on the side of your body? When you go back from like left to right, what's happening in the ribs on the side? Rest for a moment. Put your arms out, cross them, and then switch so that you're doing the weird cross. Turn your hands over And then with this strange cross, elbows as straight as they can be, explore down around your foot. Well, or around your calf. Most of us can't reach our feet in this position. You might just be going right over the edge of your knee or partway down your calf or your shin. Trying to do a different path every time. Pay attention to how your feet help you do this. The weight changes from the inside edge or the outside edge, one foot to the other. And then rest. And take this arm up and see if it's going up a little easier than it was. Okay. And stand up. Compare the length of your two arms. Which foot would you balance on now? Has it changed? And then walk and feel the arms swing. Do they swing? Which one swings more than the other? And while you're standing, come and find a wall that you can stand with one shoulder blade touching the wall. So a doorway is a good thing for this. You can lean on the wall on one side. And you want the back of your shoulder, so the shoulder blade to be flat against the wall. So not sideways to the wall, but at a little bit of an angle so that you can feel the whole triangle of your shoulder blade. So some of you have this side of your shoulder against the wall, and that's not going to work so well for this. You want the back side, so your back is to the wall. Yeah, okay. And push against the wall so that you can feel different parts of your shoulder blade pushing against the wall. See if you can find the top of the shoulder blade, which is parallel to the skin on the surface of your shoulder. And then there's a long line of your shoulder blade that goes down parallel to your spine, and a diagonal line that connects those two. Just to get a sense of where is your shoulder blade.
Could you show us on your skeleton?
No, because I can't turn him around because he's virtual. Let me find a picture and put it up. Sorry. I'm going to share my screen. Oops, this one. So the blue picture is the best for the shape of the shoulder blade. So you can come and take a look at your computer. It's a really interesting shape in that there's this line that's kind of parallel to your spine, and then this diagonal line, and then the top of it, this blade is, it's not really parallel to your shoulder, but it's across the top. And right in the corner here, that's the socket where your upper arm bone goes into your shoulder blade. Okay. Does that help, Sharon?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. I'm going to stop the share and adjust my windows. There we go. So you're trying to feel the sensation. And if you're uncomfortable standing, you can do this on the back of your chair. But go back to your wall, put that shoulder blade, so it's right on the back surface of you, against the wall. And while you have that back against the wall, I hadn't thought through how this is going to work in sitting. In standing, try and leave your shoulder blade on the wall and move your bottom to different places of the wall. So if you're willing to stand up for a moment, this would be easier standing. Because in a chair, you'd have to use your arms to lift up your bottom, and I think that would be hard. So you plant your shoulder blade, you fix it to the wall, like it was glued there, and then you try to move your bottom to, as if, like we've done some sponge painting with the bottom, touching different parts of you against the wall. This one isn't making so much sense to people. It's hard for me to see whether this is making sense. So it's kind of like a funny little dance. Your shoulder is glued to the wall and you are taking your bottom left and right, trying to touch the wall a little higher with your bottom or a little lower with your bottom. Yeah, that's it. Okay. Good. Come away from the wall for a moment. Just stand, compare the length of your arms. Whichever side you had on the wall, lift that one up. See how it's going. And then let's try the other side on the wall. So you find the other shoulder blade, glue it to the wall, and move your bottom around. All right. And then come away from the wall, see what that arm is like to raise. And what is your shoulder blade doing as you lift your arm? Do you feel it move on your back? Okay, just for curiosity's sake, how many people, give me a thumbs up if you feel like when you lift your arm, your shoulder blade lifts up? Okay, and how many people, when you lift your arm, do you feel your shoulder blade goes down? Okay, we have some going down, some going up. And how many people does it feel like the shoulder blade doesn't move at all? Okay, so you've got the shoulder blade and there's the socket where the arm goes into it. And it's always easier if you can aim that socket where you're going. And for your shoulder blade to aim the socket upward, you have to take the shoulder blade downward. And so we're gonna play with that. It's kind of a strange idea. So come to your chair and sit down. But the first thing we have to do is get the shoulder blade so it can move at all for some people. So sitting in your chair, take your hand and imagine you're polishing the inside of a bowl. Good. So you can polish it left, right on the inside, or you could turn your hand in front of your face and polish it forward and backward. Okay. Now take your right foot and polish the inside of a bowl with it. So you want to be sitting toward the front of your chair, and your right foot goes a little up and down in the bowl, sideways. You could get your head and eyes in it by looking at your foot. So you look between your knees, and then you look outside your knees. And feel how your ribs have to move a little bit to polish the bowl with your foot. It's like you can do a little bit just with your ankle. You can do a little bowl, but if you had a big bowl like a fire pit and you were trying to polish that big bowl, you have, and to look at your foot, the ribs do a little tick-tock. Okay. We're going to imagine now that that bowl is turned upside down on top of your right shoulder. And you can polish it forward and backward by taking your shoulder, the whole shoulder girdle, up and over your rib cage to behind and up and over toward in front. You could put your hand on it and feel that motion of trying to go inside the bowl. And if you have your hand resting lightly on your collarbone here, you'll feel a lot of motion right in this joint, the only place that your shoulder's attached to your skeleton. And the collarbone does a lot of movement in order to polish the inside of the bowl. I don't know about you, I never think about my collarbone. I never think, oh, what's my collarbone doing in order to do this movement? But then when I touch it and you feel how complicated a movement, it's really, it's quite an interesting structure. Rest for a moment. Now, if the bowl was on top of this shoulder, you could also polish it left-right. So I could kind of lift the shoulder up, and I find the other shoulder has to go up and down a little to do this. It's like, isn't it nice that we have hands? We don't have to do our polishing with our shoulders, but it's okay. And rest for a moment. Remember, if I ask you to do something and it doesn't feel good, start by stopping and then doing it smaller, gentler. So now polish the back side of the bowl, the back of the inside. So we were going forward and back. Just polish the back side and then raise your arm and see what that feels like. So it's like a combination. You start by polishing the back, and then the arm can float up. And then try an experiment. Be gentle with yourself. Polish the front side so you come up and forward with your shoulder, and then lift your arm and feel like, no, it doesn't want to. But when the shoulder is up and back behind, it changes the angle of the socket, so it becomes easier. So in that sense, if you look up at your hand as you lift it, feel how the ribs in the back of yourself compress, and that allows the shoulder blade to go down a little bit. So really tilt your chin up and look up at the hand as you lift your arm. Good, rest for a moment. Now the shoulder blade can tip left-right as well. So leave your shoulders level and lift your arm out to the side and feel what happens when you do that, okay? And then tip your shoulders, which means tipping your head a little bit with them, and then lift the arm look at it, see if that makes it a little easier to lift it. Okay. You could take your shoulder blade close to your spine, kind of squeeze it behind yourself, like you were scratching the middle of your back on a chair or something. And then reach forward as if you wanted to grab something, and feel how it kind of gets in the way if you keep your shoulder blade back there. And then the next time you reach forward, let the shoulder blade take your elbow a little wide so the shoulder blade can go wide and reach forward. Yeah. If you put your hands on your collarbone, as your shoulder blade gets wide and reaches forward, you feel that the collarbone points forward. It's taking the whole socket in your shoulder blade forward. All right, rest for a moment. Now let's try the movement of reaching to scratch your back and just see what's it like to do. Is it going a little easier, a little further than it was? And let's try an experiment. Polish the inside of the bowl backwards, lift your arm up, and then once it's lifted, let it go down the back of your head to your neck and see if that made it a little easier to go back there. And rest. I kind of think about it in the same way that I was thinking about the car in the icebreaker, in that a car, you have to point in the direction you're going before you step on the accelerator and go, right? It goes where you steer it. And the arm, we steer with our shoulder blade. So if we take the shoulder blade and we get it in the direction the arm needs to go, then the arm has more freedom. All right, take your right hand and tuck it in your armpit if that's possible, just loosely, no force. Begin to take your elbow up and down. And feel, does the weight shift on your sit bones as you do that? You can do it without, sit really still, don't let your weight shift. And there's a little bit of movement. And then shift your weight from sit bone to sit bone and see if that gives you a little bit more range of your elbow. And rest for a moment. Tuck it back in there. And go forward and backward. And again, there's a little bit of range if you keep your torso still. Hold your breath, lock your torso. Your arm can move a little bit. And then soften your breath, soften your chest. If you let your sit bones move, one sit bone a little forward, one sit bone a little backward, see what kind of range you can get with your elbow forward and back. If you turn your belly left and right. And now go back to keeping your torso still and see if the range there increased a little bit. And rest. And take a breath in as you're resting. See which side of you feels more elastic inside to receive the breath. Put your hand back underneath your armpit. And now write your name with your elbow. as if there was a chalkboard next to you. And feel how much you have to use your sit bones and your belly. Use all of yourself to write your name. You're a graffiti artist, and this is your pen. They like their name big, right? So that you can see it from far away. Go slowly, though. Be gentle with yourself. Really think about what you can do with your torso. How can you turn your torso at an angle, up and down? Yeah. For what part of the curve of a curved letter do you have to pull your belly in or push it out? And rest. And stand up for a moment. Stand up and feel what this shoulder, the right shoulder, feels like compared to the left in terms of how far it is from your ear. And take your thumb back as if you were hitchhiking with your right hand. Feel what that movement is like. You can leave your arm long as you do it, or bent. See if you can sense what is your shoulder blade doing as you hitchhike with that arm. How it moves back toward your spine. How your torso can turn a little bit to make it easier to do the thumb over. And compare that sensation to what it's like with your left arm. And then have a seat. And now imagine you didn't have a right arm and your pen was right up here, right where your upper arm bone comes in. Actually, let's find where where the ball is in the shoulder socket. So you've got the skin across the top and there's a bone that goes across the top. And then about an inch down, if you put your fingers wide and you rotate your thumb, sort of rotate around the axis of your hand, you can feel the head of the upper arm bone rotating in its socket. So with the arm, rather than lifting it up and down, that's going to be a more complicated way to feel it. Just let it long by your side and rotate your elbow out and in. And if you're up too high, you don't feel the rotation. But if you come down just a little bit, you can feel the bone rotate under your fingers. So not in the front of yourself, but right on your arm. We're looking for the sense, and you have to use the other hand to get there. So you reach your other hand and you're looking for the ball.
Yeah.
Okay. And let that go. And so imagine that with that ball of the socket is a piece of charcoal and you're trying to write your name on a wall with it.
I don't know that.
Alexa does not know how to do this. Quiet, Alexa. But she can look up something on Wikipedia faster than I can. All right, and rest. So who was it on Tuesday who said that straightening their arm was a challenge? Elizabeth, okay. Do you find that if you take your shoulder blade back, that straightening has gotten a little easier? So taking the shoulder blade up and down your back.
I don't find that it's getting any easier. The fact is, I've got more pain than I've ever had.
Okay. So remember, if something hurts as I'm asking you to do it smaller and gentler, or just in your imagination.
That's what I've been doing.
Yeah. So what allows the shoulder blade to go back is this motion in the rib cage of like the shoulder blades come toward each other behind you, and you press your chest forward. And that arching of the back lets the shoulder blade go down the back.
Yeah, I can feel.
Because if the shoulders are rounded, hunched, and you lift the arm, that's when the shoulder blade doesn't have the freedom to go down your back. All right, let's do a little bit of play with the left side. So let's try the fingers in the armpit going up and down. So the fingers stay there, and it's just the elbows that go up and down. And for the elbow to do that, you're going to want your whole body, like if you tilt yourself down to one side, see how if you tilt yourself to one side, the elbow goes up? And then add in the motion that's right in the elbow joint. But still do a little tilting your body. And to bring the elbow down, tilt that way. To bring the elbow up, tilt the other way. Yeah. Rest for a moment. So when I see a grimace, it means too much work. You might be moving your elbow a 1/4 inch. Let's everybody try that. Put your hand in here. Move your elbow up and down a 1/4 inch and see, what do you feel moving? When you do that little tiny motion, can you feel it in your sit bones a little bit? A little tiny weight shift. Does your breath somehow help you do that motion? And then undo. When we make the motion smaller, we can often sense a little more. Rest for a moment. And if putting your hand way up in your armpit is uncomfortable on your shoulder, let's all put our hands in the middle of our rib cage on the side. So not up so high. Yeah. And now go a little bit forward and backward. And I see people experimenting with sit bones and torso, turning your torso forward and back, letting your sit bones slide a little in your chair. So that's turning the socket. And then once the socket's turned, see if your elbow can go further back. Or once the socket is turned forward, perhaps it could go further forward. Or maybe it works better if the elbow goes opposite the shoulder. And rest. Have we done the inside of the bowl with this shoulder? I don't think we have. Let's go imagining the bowl is sitting curved this way over the shoulder. So you go forward, up, and back. And just see, is that an easy motion in your body, or is it one of those motions that you go, Irene's doing something, but I'm not quite sure how to do this one. It has to do with what you do with your chest to do this. You got to pull your chest in as your shoulder comes forward and push your chest out as it goes backward. You do it with your belly. You push your belly out to take your shoulder back. Pull your belly in to take your shoulder forward. You put your fingers right on your collarbone and feel how the collarbone has to come forward for your shoulder to come forward. So this joint right at your sternum is very active for the shoulder to go up and back or up and forward. And this joint, just like all joints, if I want the shoulder blade to go way backward, if I turn the joint a little bit in the direction I want to go, I can take the shoulder further back. So try that. You could try leaving your shoulders forward and take your shoulder back, see how far it goes. And then turn your shoulder a little and take it back, and it'll go further. And to turn, if you let your sit bones get involved in it, if they come with this joint, then your shoulder can go way back. So thinking about the orientation of your sternum, polish the inside of the bowl, letting your sternum turn a little bit left and a little bit right. Okay. And rest. And now try and polish this part of the bowl, left, right. It's kind of a strange movement, and your sit bone has to get involved. You have to shift your weight a little from side to side. Okay, and rest. And now let's on this side find the ball and socket. So you can feel along the top, the hard bone. And that hard bone from your collarbone, from your shoulder blade, sticks out over the ball and socket. But the main part of the joint is with your shoulder blade in the back. Your fingers right about an inch below, inch or two below. If you rotate the arm inside and outside, you can feel the head of the humerus rotating. Except I know there's at least one person here who has a backward shoulder. Sometimes with the shoulder replacement, they put the joint on the other side. So you have to translate everything I say into what your body, how your body is. Okay. And now use that shoulder to write some big graffiti or some small graffiti if big movements are not being comfortable. Sign your name to something inobtrusively. And as you do it, sense, when does your shoulder blade go toward your spine? When does your shoulder blade come away from your spine? I like to think of the inside of the shoulder blade as smooth like an abalone shell, and it just glides along the ribs. Alrighty. Go ahead and stand up. And imagine putting your arm back now into that coat sleeve. See if your sternum is coming along with your arm a little easier, that you feel how you have to twist your body to get the arm to straighten. Try it once without moving your torso. Hold your breath, keep yourself facing forward, and try and put your arm in the coat. And it's like, ouch, even imagining it doesn't feel as good. But then soften everything, let your hips turn a little bit so that, and see, it's now easier to straighten your arm behind you because you're moving the socket to match the movement. And reach up and see what it's like to scratch your back. See if that's a little easier. Yeah, today nobody's having trouble, it looks like, with the hair combing motions that were hard. Yeah. But that sense, especially if you look up a little bit to get the shoulder blade to go down, use your eyes to look up, then the hand can come back there easier. Try it once where you lift the shoulder blade up and then try and reach behind you. It's like, stuck. And then let the shoulder go back and down to reach behind you. So a lot of arm and shoulder challenges have to do with what do we do with the ribs in the middle to get it so that the joint faces the direction we need it to go. Right, come and have a seat. And anybody have any comments about their experience in this? Sharon.
This wore me out.
Okay, so when something wears you out, the message for next time is to do a little bit smaller movements. Yeah, because the same movements can be done slower and smaller to not wear you out. So, okay. It's good feedback for me that I should cue that more frequently because we did a lot of movement with the arms and shoulders today.
I had a lot of pain in the beginning with my right arm up here when we were doing this, and now I don't really have any pain. I was able to lift it quite easily.
Yay. Okay.
Good.
It always amazes me how pain can be caused by the mat being a little bit off underneath, of just the idea that, oh, in order to lift it, I have to move the shoulder blade, and then it doesn't pinch. But otherwise, there's a very mechanical pinching that happens. This, on the skeleton, you can kind of see the collarbone here is right on top of the ball and socket in the arm. And if it doesn't get out of the way, the ball can't rotate to lift your arm. So it's purely a mechanical force that if you get things lined up right, there's usually a path for comfortable movement. And just knowing that it's possible to lift your arm without pain makes your brain start looking for that. Yeah. And it's that knowing it's possible that makes the difference over the course of the week and your real life movement. So next week we talked about the first class of the week being hand related. And I know I not talked about some challenges with arthritis and pain down at the base of the thumb, and we'll talk about that. What are things you do with your hands that you find challenging? Because that'll be good for helping me design the lesson.
Grip, do the grip.
A grip, okay.
And to twist like a key in the keyhole. To lift the pants. When you do this.
Wait, so when you're pulling your pants up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because there is weight. It's the bend, and also to unbend the
to make a flat palm.
To extend the thumb.
Sharon.
I have trouble picking things up, getting my fingers together to.
So getting this kind of motion?
Yeah.
Okay. Scott and then Bill.
Anything for buttoning shirts.
I have trouble with fine detail one.
Say it again, Marilyn. I think we got
I
it.
have trouble with doing fine work. When you have to do this with your hand. I have trouble with fine work. I do a lot of needlework and I have trouble with the fine detail stuff,
Okay.
especially if you have to use your thumb and finger together.
And Bill?
I had problems opening jars and bottles sometimes, like a water bottle.
So like a water bottle with the flip up kind of
Right.
lip or the turning thing.
Turning things.
Okay. Anyone else?
So squeezing something between the thumb
Uh-huh.
and the index.
And something that some of us have problems with is it's like slumping. Like I'll sit in a chair at night watching television, and I'll get a lean on me. I won't realize it. My wife will say, "Why are you leaning over like that?" And you know, when I look at it in the mirror or I think about it, I realize I've got a slope to me. And one of the guys I used to drive to boxing, he had the same problem.
Yeah, the sensitivity to yourself to know when have I started to slump, you know, when have I twisted sideways. For some people, it's like it starts feeling normal being over there, and an external reminder can be helpful. Okay, that's one that we play with really all the time in all these postural ones, because it's the awareness of where our ribs are in space. But it for some people that one becomes an ongoing battle to stay aware of. So it'll be interesting. Well, probably won't work with that next week, but to talk about it in the future of what are the cues in your body that tell you when you are in the middle, when you are upright.
Mm-hmm.
Any other hand things to consider for next time?
I think also not exactly, but the relationship to the neck, because also in this very lesson that you taught about the shoulder, I felt like the neck muscles is paralyzed, like it does not integrate, it does not cooperate with the neck, the stiffness in the neck and how it relates actually to every movement, but especially in the hand and in the shoulder. Something is not flowing, especially in one side. Like in one side, I feel like I am in honey or in oil, and in the painful side, I feel like I'm in mud, like I am moving in something very gooey and sticky.
That's a good one to explore. Yeah. Anybody else find that their neck feels like something in here doesn't come along or hurts as they, yeah. Rich, you have something to add? Oops, you're muted, Rich.
You want to keep listening or are you done?
I'm going to have to go, but it's always a great class, and thank you very much, Irene.
Oh, you're welcome. Sorry, I lost track of the time. We're after 11:30. All right, good place to end things for today. And I will see you all next Tuesday. Have a good weekend.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Irene.
You're welcome.